Cadel Evans, fresh from his victory in the Tour de France, has now arrived in Colorado for his next big appointment. He will again face the podium finishes in Andy Schleck and his brother Frank. It's the inaugural USA Pro Cycling Challenge next. It's a landscape defined by iconic peaks, soon to be the site of a formidable cycling test. 7 stages with seemingly limitless demands, and a group of riders uniquely equipped to respond. As their electric run through France still reverberates, Cadel Evans and Andy Schleck prepare to clash on US roads. Evans is making a dash for the line. Cadel Evans cannot be beaten. A place where climbers like the Americans Levi Leipheimer and Tom Danielson hope to thrive, while George Hincapie and Christian van der Velde rely on all-around balance. And David Zabriskie puts his time trial expertise on display. These competitors all strive for the same staggering heights as the Rockies mark the scene of an American cycling summit. The USA Pro Cycling Challenge is next. It has been almost a quarter of a century since world-class cycling was last seen in the state of Colorado. All that now is about to change with the inaugural USA Pro Cycling Challenge as it begins today in Colorado Springs with the Quiznos Prologue time trial over 5.2 miles. The mountains of the Rockies are with us now for the next 6 days. We are going to see some of the greatest scenery in the world of this beautiful country of the USA. So the crowd are ready, the sky is blue, the wind is blowing, the mountains are high. Hi everybody, I'm Phil Liggett. Welcome now. Alongside me is Paul Sherwin, and we are bringing together what I think is the best ever field to race in the United States. We have the whole podium here of the Tour de France. We have the scenery. And Paul, what all the riders fear, we also have the altitude.
You know, Phil, these riders in the Tour de France, they climb to 8,000, 9,000 feet, and they have no fear or trepidation of that. But there's the extra 3,000 feet to take them up to heights of 12,000 feet during this race, which I think scares one or two of these riders.
Now, we're standing at the finishing line here. It's just got underway, the Prologue time trial, but it's underway 5 miles away from us in at the Garden of the Gods Park, and they will slowly come downhill to the finishing line here in Colorado Springs. This is a big test day for all of the 130 riders as they go one by one in the time trial. After this day, they are going to peak out on some of the days at 12,000 feet, and you know the European riders particularly have never raced to those dizzy heights. Now the big riders are here, none bigger of course than Cadel Evans, Paul.
It's hard to believe, Phil, that only 3 weeks ago he's riding on the Champs-Élysées with the final yellow jersey on his shoulders, and here he's come to Colorado for this inaugural USA Pro Cycling Challenge. He was a changed man this year. He's been on the podium before in the Tour de France, but this year he dreamed about yellow. Whenever it was important, he took the responsibility, he took the race by the horns to get that final yellow jersey on the Champs-Élysées onto his shoulders.
But it took him 20 days to get the better of these two riders. He finally got over the top of Andy Schleck, who is here. He finished second for a third year. And Frank Schleck, who climbed onto the podium, he finished in third place. They're all here. Others are here too, like the top Americans.
The Americans, they want to win here. 9th overall in the Tour de France, Tommy Danielson. He's from this state. He wants to win here if he can, but he'll be challenged by Levi Leipheimer, the recent champion of the Tour of Utah, and of course TJ Van Garderen, who won the time trial in the recent Tour of Utah. He's a man that we believe is the man of the American cycling's future.
Well, as many of you know, Paul and I have seen most of the big bike races in the world, but I think to use that often overworked word, excited, that is what we surely are, isn't it?
You know, Phil, since this race was announced, I think everybody has talked about it. Not just the American cyclists. They, of course, want to race on home territory. This is legendary racing ground here for the American cyclists, but the Europeans have been talking about this as being a great race to come to.
Well, let's have a look then at the Radio Shack route now of the Prologue time trial today. As I said, it is basically downhill, but don't you believe it?
It's very technical at the start, Phil, and what a backdrop for the start line as well, as the riders will move away from the area known as the Garden of the Gods, just outside of Colorado Springs, right in the very heart of the state of Colorado. We drop down around about 300 feet to begin with, and that is going to take the riders down Ridge Road at speeds approaching 50 to 55 miles an hour. Then it's flat and a very fast run in towards the finish when they come through West Pikes Avenue into West Colorado Avenue, and then the roads start to be very straight, and we'll still see speeds of 30 to 35 miles an hour when they finally twist into the finishing straight in Colorado Springs. Flat and fast, we'll see a very high average speed.
Well, these are the Colorado.com facts. 17 teams, 130 riders, 5 world, 5 current and 6 major American champions are here of the stage race. Riders will start in the time trial at 1-minute intervals, with the last 10 riders to go. They will be split by 2 minutes. So there you have it. Let's now catch up earlier today with our Nissan Electric Leaf start, as we now see what's happened so far. And as you can see, we still have the blue skies here. We're always worried about thunderstorms as we go down into the start house. The fastest time earlier on was done by Christian van der Velde. He was the 11th rider to go today from the 130 men. We think it was a tactical move by Garmin-Cervelo because of the possibility of thunderstorms later on. And so Christian van der Velde turned in the best time of 8 minutes 29 seconds. He lives in Spain, but he comes from Lamont, Illinois, which isn't too far from Chicago. That was a great bike rider as well. A huge crowd as we expected here, because I reckon the whole of the state of Colorado is going to turn out and support this race. Well, moments ago, Patrick Grabsch went out on course. He's the 24-year-old from HTC High Road, sadly the American team who is disbanding at the end of this year. But Patrick Grabsch, he's a German, has just delivered this time 2 seconds quicker than Christian van der Velde. So he's now holding the lead with 8 minutes and 27 seconds. Now, he was the 41st rider to go. This is the situation. The United Healthcare Prologue standings at the moment. Van der Velde is second, and Brent Buchwalter is there in third. Clear blue skies, as you can see. It is very, very hot here. It must be approaching 90 degrees Fahrenheit now, Paul, which is in the mid-30s here in Celsius for all our viewers from around the world.
Yeah, well, what is happening now, though, Phil, is you can start to see the clouds starting to build up, and I wonder, though, if those early riders may get that advantage, because if it does start to rain in the latter part of the afternoon, as is very much the habit in Colorado, you will see that first part of the course being extremely tricky. 1 or 2 nasty little bends with the riders, the early riders going down there at speeds of approaching 80 kilometers an hour or 50 miles an hour.
But just look at these stunning scenes. This is back up at the top here now at the Garden of the Gods, which is, it used to be a tribal meeting ground of the Ute Indians, and behind we have the famous peak, Pikes Peak, which stands at 14,000 feet, 4,000 meters above sea level. This is Brad White now, who's taking his start.
Brad White comes from Ohio. He now lives in Holland, Michigan, and he's a rider from United Healthcare, and they are a team who have always been very aggressive on the international, on the local circuits in the United States. As we go back to the finish line quickly to see this rider coming in from Team BMC, and I think that's Chris Butler.
Chris Butler heading up the straight here. You've got a glimpse there of the little uphill climb towards the finishing line, which is going to hurt the legs today. And it's we're going to talk of only a second or so splitting the winner's podium, I think, because they start with that very rapid downhill, a very sharp, we'll see pictures of it soon, a very sharp left-hander, where they're going to be approaching it over 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour. And then they'll straighten up for the finish here. And as expected, we have a huge crowd. Not too many can get out midway down the route, but they've done their best. 9:22 the time there of Chris Butler. Best time remains at 8:27 for Patrick Grabsch.
Well, Matt Cook coming in for Exergy now, and he's coming into the finishing straight, and as we can see, you can see the shimmer of the late afternoon sun here, Phil. We're looking here at temperatures, as you said, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Not only combined with the altitude here at 6,000 feet for this opening prologue, that's going to make it very difficult for some of these riders if they haven't made themselves a proper warm-up.
So we're just watching the finish there. New team on the block here in America, Extra G, are playing a big part in the promotion of this race as well. So let's have a look then at the current standings here from United Healthcare as we get underway, you know, in what is the opening prologue time trial. Patrick Gretsch there, 8:27. Van der Velde pushed back by 2 seconds. Brent Buckwalter there at 4 seconds. 2 Americans in the top 3. We'll take our first break. Welcome back. We're at the prologue of the USA Pro Cycling Challenge presented by Quiznos today as we look into the start house. Yes, you recognise him from the Tour de France. This is Jens Voigt here, just one of the myriad of top names from the Tour who's come to Colorado for the inaugural Pro Cycling Challenge. Quick acceleration there by Jens Voigt. He's 39. He'll be 40 years of age, Paul, in just on a month from today, Jens Voigt. And he just loves his bike riding. Still no change at the finishing line at the moment. Still got the German Patrick Gretsch, who's got the best time. Now can Jens Voigt, another German of great note, could he topple the youngster?
Well, Jens Voigt, again, to Phil, on this very technical, it's almost like a ski descent, the first part of this course, down for the first 2.5 kilometers. And you'll see the riders using as much of the road as possible. When they go around these corners, they go over to the far side, then try and cut across the apex of the corner to keep their pace as high as possible. And real specialists, they can cut back a couple of seconds in corners like this if they know how to handle the descent.
Red flags waving there just to warn Jens. A very narrow road this, just behind these riders, the famous Pikes Peak, which now has a surface road all the way up. Danny Summerhill going out of the start house here for Garmin Sabello. Big chance for Danny here. He's what we call a stagiaire, a newcomer, giving his head to see if he can make the grade as a pro right here.
Well, he's a lucky boy because he's riding pretty much almost on home turf here, because he's from Denver, Colorado, and still lives in Denver. As we go back here to see Jens Voigt, that inimitable style of the big German rider, bobbing the top part of his body. Looks as if he's battling with the machine all the time, but this man knows exactly how to go downhill fast.
Yes, you won't slow this rider down. I just hope he's careful down the bottom. We're looking at the feet now of Stef Clement, the champion of Holland in the time trial. I expect a good time off Stef here, and I think he wanted a good start. We spoke to him a couple of days ago, and he was saying that the team wants to get off to a good start, and this is where you can lay the foundations. Many of you will say, look, it's only 5 miles, and we're talking nearly 500 miles, Paul, and we've got the big mountains to come. But you know, races have been won in the prologue, and they've certainly been lost in the prologue. No, they certainly have. I mean, if you start to look at the amount of times that have been lost so far, the last place rider so far, Phil, is 1 minute and 24 seconds down on the fastest time. But Jens Voigt, look at this. It's almost like that big downhill ski racer we see when we go to places like Steamboat and Vail and Colorado, as we go down to this very tricky left-hand bend once again. You can see that Jens Voigt has he's stopped pedaling now. He's trying to adjust his speed so that he gets around this corner in the ideal position. Over to the right-hand side. The riders all came and had a look at this corner yesterday and the day before that, Phil, because they knew just how important it was to get round it safely. Nicely done as well. He took it carefully. He was training on the course the other day. He's the father of 6 kids, is Jens, and they're watching him on television home in Germany, and they want to see Dad ride safely around this route. But we were talking with him at dinner last night. He came and joined us actually at the dinner table. He's such an easy guy to talk with, and he's absolutely in love with racing in the United States. Yeah, these riders all like racing in different venues around the world, whether it's the start of the season in the Santos Tour Down Under, whether it's the Amgen Tour of California. Now they've got another big international event on the calendar, and that, of course, is the USA Pro Cycling Challenge, bringing top-end bicycle racing back to the state of Colorado, where many years ago they had the very famous Course Classic, which was tacked onto the back of the Red Zinger. Well, we're heading for Colorado Avenue with Jens Voigt at the moment, but we'll take another break. We'll just see the next man in we're expecting that might disturb the leaderboard will be Stef Clement. But for the moment, Patrick Gretsch is still the leader. His time, 8 minutes, 27 seconds. Welcome back. We're looking at the legs here of Danny Summerhill. He's racing as near as he can to his home, and can you believe it? He's riding in his first big race against the world's best riders, just a handful of miles from where he comes from in Denver. Must be a big feeling for Danny today as he races down the street heading towards Colorado Avenue, and the finish of this Quiznos opening prologue time trial today in the first ever USA Pro Cycling Challenge. No change in the overall leaderboard while we've been away. It's still Patrick Gretsch, 8 minutes and 27 seconds. Now, Bob Roll, as always, is part of our commentary team here at the event, and Bob Roll earlier interviewed Jeff Huber, the medical director of Centura Health.
I'm here with Jeff Huber, the medical coordinator for the USA Pro Cycling Challenges. What are some of the services provided to riders in the race?
Well, it's a whole medical caravan. It's from a medical motorcycle to a doc's car to 2 support vehicles and 2 ambulances along the way, all moving within this big caravan and supporting all the riders on the go.
In case something untoward should happen.
That's correct. That's correct. And we're prepared for anything from little scrapes to the unfortunate, really bad stuff like you saw in Giro.
Theoretically, the less work, the better for you guys.
No, that is exactly true. I feel that I'm excited to get the race going. It's all the logistics now that have been just a complete taking all my time. Now just let me get in the car, let me get doing what I know how to do, which is medical support.
And how about the altitude here? A lot has been spoken about the altitude. Do you guys have any provisions for that before the race starts?
Well, we do. I mean, there's several treatments for a high altitude. One of them is drink a lot of water, stay away from caffeine, and oxygen. But, you know, a lot of these guys are professionals. They've been training really hard. It takes days to weeks sometimes for these guys to adapt. But, you know, we should see. I mean, I think they're ready, and I think they want this, so we're geared up for anything.
Thanks, Bob and Jeff. Yes, we really hope Jess has no work the whole week of this race. That means it'll be a safe one. It's going to be an amazing race. The atmosphere is warming up. In the distance is Danny Summerhill now racing down Colorado Avenue as he comes up towards the finish here, the prologue. And we'll see what he's done. There's no change at the finishing line at the moment. It is still Patrick Gretsch with his 8 minutes 27 seconds and Christian van der Velde second, 2 seconds further back. Grit his teeth here. As I say, he must have trained many hours in these roads because it's just a stone's throw from Denver itself. And in 6 days' time, we will be finishing in downtown Denver on the route from Golden. And we are going to top some of the most famous mountains and see some of the most famous towns of the state of Colorado. The lone figure then, Paul, of Danny Summerhill, our Denver resident. He was also born here in Denver, Colorado as well. The crowd are going to cheer him home. It's a good start. In fact, it's a very good start. 12th place, 8:48.
When you look at the overall in at 12,
so we're looking at Jeff Lauder here. We've just seen the finish there of Danny Summerhill as he's come in with a pretty good time, 12th best time. Now, what can Jeff Lauder do here? He's the man from Salt Lake City, and that was where we visited in the recent Tour of Utah. At least we didn't, but the riders did. Riders doing their preparation. And that race, by the way, was won by Levi Leipheimer for the 2nd year. And now he's coming up against the creme of the Tour de France right here, which is a little bit further south from where he was last week. There's the long wide boulevard in this modern town here, Colorado Springs in the USA. He's chosen to go right down the middle. It's a beautiful crowd here which is enjoying a very, very hot summer's day. He's just slotted in there behind Summerhill with 13th best time.
Well, Rodney, one of the riders who will be expecting, if he can, to try and get himself Levi Leipheimer up towards the finishing line.
17 just warming down there as he comes in. Yes, it was Rodney there who was finishing. We're still waiting for Lauder. Here he comes now up the home straight. 8 minutes 13 seconds and counting. This is not a bad ride. 8:29. This might be close. He has been the champion of the time trial of the USA. Now let's see what he can do as he puts in that final. It's a little sneak up here, and it's quite a long ride because those cars you see rushing along on the state freeway, we're underneath them as they start the climb and come into our view here up to the finishing straight. And that's where the clock ticks away. As you can see, Jens Voigt has taken the 5th best time at the moment. We didn't actually see him finish. He's in it in the 7th best time for Jeff Lauder. So I think Jeff Lauder should be pretty pleased with that. So we'll take another break. Remember, the top names will go towards the end of the start list today. There's the current situation here at the Quiznog Prologue time trial. See you in a minute. Welcome back as we slip into top gear now in the US Pro Cycling Challenge with the opening Quiznos Prologue time trial today. This is the situation. Gretsch is home and dry now with the best time thus far. But we have to be honest, the top names are still to go. 8:27 he has recorded, and this for a 5.3 mile rush off the mountain of the Garden of the Gods. And he's done it in 8 minutes and 27 seconds. It is remarkable, isn't it? Back into the start house now, because just popping out of the start house is Eli Viviani. I think this rider is as he starts his run. Elia Viviani is a very, very good sprinter. There's not a lot of sprints on this race, so he might get a chance at 2 stages. This is the day we all go into the mountains. These are the rugged views here as we look at the red sandstone around the park of the Garden of the Gods. It's the state park. Pikes Peak is the high mountain within it at 14,000 feet. That's nearly 4,000 meters.
This is Alejandro Ramirez from one of those very interesting Colombian teams, Phil. This is the Gobernación de Antioquia. And these are the riders. Yes, he might be losing a whole bunch of time in this opening prologue here this afternoon, but a lot of the Europeans are very concerned about these teams because they're not at all afraid of racing at altitude. They do it at home in Colombia.
No, as we said, this is the downhill section. For the next 5 days after this, we're going uphill to places that you've never seen before. Now let's go into the box again, because this is Craig Lewis. Craig is 26 years of age. He rides for HTC High Road. Comes from Moore, South Carolina. Now on the 19th stage of the Giro d'Italia this year, this man crashed and broke his tibia, and he made his comeback as quickly as the other week in the Tour of Utah. These guys are made of rubber, Paul.
Well, this man had a very hard ride back to the top end of his form, and for him it's extremely important to try and ride well in this race here of the USA Pro Cycling Challenge, because his team HTC High Road, they will disappear from the international circuit towards the end of this season. So there are a lot of riders, Phil, using this event to try and get themselves new contracts for the following season.
And not least here we see now Jeremy Fennell, who is from New Zealand, but he races for the American Bissell team. He's not a bad time trialist either, Jeremy, so he might push Patrick Gretsch. I don't think he can reach Patrick's time of 8:27, but many a man has chosen me to be wrong.
Well, he's formerly a New Zealand national time trial champion. He knows exactly how to dose his effort. And check this guy out, fella. I'm not quite sure how he got up there, but it'll be interesting to see him ride down.
Is this anybody's bike I've got here? Not sure, but these are the beautiful red sandstone rocks here of the area around Pikes Peak. There are alluvial layers throughout the millions of years they've taken to form, and because it's a soft sandstone, they have made amazing shapes, and of course most of them have special names as well. So yeah, it's back with Fennell here now as we continue on our way. He's looking pretty strong here. Now, one of the riders who is getting ready to start and will get an enormous cheer when he does is this man, the champion of Luxembourg, Frank Schleck. Don't wear those hands out there, Frank. You're going to need to use the brakes in a few minutes' time, as he will start at 4:47 Eastern Time. Now, today's Quiznos Prologue finishes in the modern American hamlet of Colorado Springs, known as the capital of amateur sporting events, as the city serves as home to the U.S. Olympic Committee and their training facilities. It's here that America's elite athletes are currently using the area's altitude to prepare for the 2012 Olympic Games in London. Nearby is one of the most famous mountains in the continental U.S., Pikes Peak, over 14,000 feet. The mountain invites visitors up to hike or bike the mountain, I'm not sure about the biking, where various forms of wildlife and fauna can be observed. Back into the start house. Now, many of you will remember this man. This is Freddie Rodriguez. He's now making his comeback to cycling. Well, Freddie Rodriguez underway. Yes, his hometown, Bogota, Colombia, but he's very much a resident of Berkeley, California, Paul. I never thought we'd be commentating on Freddie again. Here he is back with his new team.
Yeah, I think it's all to do, Phil, with the fact that he started looking after some juniors and helped to develop them, and he felt his legs were coming back to the form that he had before, so he decided to come back into the sport. As we look here at Craig Lewis, very tough for him. He was 10th in the US National Championships back in 2010, but I think more famous, that very nasty crash he had in the Giro d'Italia. He's looking to get himself back to top form again.
That's right, he is, and he's doing it the toughest way possible here to ride a week in the state of Colorado with all its high peaks abounding. He turned pro for the Slipstream Chipotle team back in 2007. He's never won a professional race, but he's one of those strong men. But he's had such bad luck on the 19th stage. Just a couple of days out from the finish of the Tour of Italy, he had that crash. And as I say, he broke a tibia, and he had to have a nail drilled right through it. And he says, you've never known pain like that. Here he is, back in the saddle.
I think he's got a fair amount of pain going through his thighs here, racing at 2,000 meters above sea level, just over 6,000 feet in altitude. He looks very comfortable as we flick back down to the finishing line now for this rider from Rabobank.
Grisha Nierman coming home now at the moment. His time a little off the pace here. We didn't expect Grisha to tickle it with the top time trial. This is coming in 9:28, 59th of the riders, so 72 have gone. He's in 59th place here. So he's lost quite a little bit of time there. But his job's not here to win the race. His job here is to help others on Rabobank, particularly Robert Hessing, win the race. And Hessing has already told us he's come here to win the race, so Grisha better save his strength.
No, he certainly better had. And of course, Robert Hessing has decided, he came out to California early to get himself acclimatized and used to the altitude, but he's also going to stay here for a couple of weeks afterwards because he wants to go forward to a couple of big one-day races in Canada down towards the end of the season. And he is a rider who has got the climbing ability to actually win this race.
Back with Craig Lewis here. Absolutely delighted to be back in the racing saddle after that crash he had. Now settling down. He's on the HTC High Road team, which is the sad story of the year, really, because this team has decided it can't find the sponsor to continue next year, which I find absolutely amazing, because this team has won more races than any other in the last few years, nearly 500 races with their men's and women's team.
Yep, but
so as we see Craig Lewis bound for the finishing line, I don't think he's going to upset the apple cart just yet. This is the man. His teammate Patrick Gretsch still holds on to the race lead in the opening day of the inaugural Pro Cycling Challenge. Welcome back. Let's have a look where the United Healthcare standings are here for the Americans still to go. This is the most important Americans: George Hincapie, Levi Leipheimer, Tommy Danielson, Dave Zabriskie, TJ Van Garderen. Any one of those five could change the leaderboard, but at the moment it's still Patrick Gretsch who is on top. And let's have a look now. This is the arrival moments ago while we were away of Craig Lewis. A nice steady ride. Remember, this is a boy who broke his leg and he's coming back. Amazing performance, really. It was only in May when it all happened. Here he is now in August, back in the thick of one of the best races around in the world. So as we continue to race towards the finishing line now, we're getting down towards the creme de la creme. Here's Freddy Rodriguez back in action, former stage winner in the sprints in the Tour of Italy, and Fred now is beginning to realize life is pretty tough out there as a pro again.
No, it certainly is, and this is probably one of the toughest disciplines in the sport when you come to an individual time trial, a prologue time trial. It's a real violent effort. So you've got to take your heart rate almost up to 180, 185 beats a minute as soon as you go down the starting ramp. It's a long day of preparation, and for many of these riders it really is quite a difficult day in the saddle. And so Rodriguez really is suffering here.
Yes, well, I'm not really surprised, but Freddie is going to really try and give these youngsters a lot of advice in his new team of Exergy. All right, well, Bob Roll, as we've seen already, is with us now, and he's going to show us about the Specialized podium shoes in today's Nissan Innovation.
Hi, I'm here with Nick Sims from Specialized Racing. Specialized makes some of the most innovative products in cycling. And if you've ever wondered why the cyclists don't slip and fall when they're on the podium, getting the kisses and the flowers, Nick has a reason right here.
That's right. To get to the podium, you need this shoe. You need pedaling efficiency, which is like there. When you're on the podium, like you said, you go on in for the podium kiss, you don't want to be slipping, it's embarrassing. You need that. So it's just a cool thing for us to offer our athletes when they're riding and when they go to get the kisses.
Maybe the most efficient podium shoes ever made. Has the same upper as the racing shoe, but much more stylish.
Thank you, Bob, and that's our Nissan Innovation, and that is a very important innovation, I might add. I want to remember Frederic Moncassin stepping onto the podium in the start of the Tour de France, slipping and breaking his ankle, and not actually starting in the Tour de France. That was a few years ago. So that should solve that problem. Now there's the Interstate 25 there, heading north and south, scurrying down towards Denver, while underneath goes the Quiznos Prologue, the opener of 6 days of racing here in the brand new USA Pro Cycling Challenge. No change overall. It's been a while now since we changed the top three. It's still Van der Velde, Buckwalter, two Americans, but the man who's ahead of them both is Patrick Gretsch. Anybody coming to get better? 8:27? I bet there is. See you in a moment. Welcome back. Now these are the United Healthcare jersey breakdown here, and let me just quickly run through. The yellow jersey is the Quiznos yellow jersey. The points jersey also is the Smashburger. Then we've got the Nissan King of the Mountains, that's the red one, and the Young Rider jersey is the Sheets Energy strips. They're what they're racing for over the next week, and the man that gets the last one, of course, will win. Well, the beauty of Colorado here, we're high above Colorado Springs with the start line, and we now go to a man who could well do well and could actually win this race overall. Peter Velits here of HTC High Road making his start.
This is the last year
as he makes his run out of the start house, Paul, a candidate, I think, for a possible overall victory in Denver when he finished there on Sunday.
I think you're absolutely right. He's a great talent. He's I always get mixed up, Phil. Is the younger or the older twin?
Well, there's only an hour in it, so I can never remember, but I think he is the younger. Martin is the elder, yeah.
Well, he's the most talented, though, Peter. Third overall in the Vuelta a España last year. An extremely good talent for the future. And he, too, will be looking to change ranks during the winter months now, because it really is. I just can't imagine that the sport will lose at HTC High Road, because it's been one of the most dominant teams on the circuit over the last couple of years.
Now, smiling there, Frank Schleck. He's being treated like a hero since he touched down here in Denver, in Colorado. Frank Schleck, third in the Tour de France. He is so popular, along with brother Andy. Let's listen to the crowd.
On the podium of this year's Tour de France, from Luxembourg for Leopard Trek, Frank Schleck.
There he goes off into the distance, and Frank doesn't like time trial, as we saw in the Tour de France, but he's got to do it like everybody else today. He's still shooting at the time of Patrick Gretsch of HTC High Road, 8:27. Just looking there, the XG pointer showing us out where he is. We'll be using that a lot during the week once we're in the bunch, of course. Some of these climbs are 20+ kilometers high, but they go much, much higher than the mountains in Europe. A lot higher.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think the Schleck brothers will take this race extremely seriously. They have been overwhelmed, I think, by the reception they've got since coming from the Tour de France. And it really is quite amazing for this race in its inaugural year to have the top 3 finishes of the Tour de France.
Let's get back out and see on Peter Velits here. This is on the very fast descent between 70-80 kilometers an hour, 45-50 miles an hour. They've had the opportunity to train on this road. As always in this great state, the police are terrifically cooperative. As you can see, the roads, of course, are totally closed for road safety for everybody concerned, but they do a great job. Velits going down towards that sharp left-hander. He knows that his teammate at the moment, Patrick Gretsch, is on top of the leaderboard. Velits will try to get close to him if he can.
Well, he's not a bad individual time trialist. In fact, he won the final time trial of the Vuelta a España last year, and that gave him a very solid third-place finish overall. And I do feel that he is going to be one of the big stars of long-race stage racing in the future.
Well, that was the first result on the podium for a rider from Slovakia, and Peter Velits is the man that claimed that. As Paul said, he got the third slot finish there. Very quietly spoken, he plied his trade as a youngster in South Africa, where he rode for Konica Minolta before he was snatched up by the European squads, or in this case, the American squads. Looking down on Frank Schleck now, third in the Tour de France. He would have liked to have been second and his brother on top, but that wasn't the way it was to be. Cadel beat them both. But this, they said this is not a revenge event. We are here to race to win. It's as simple as that. Off the bike, Cadel has said that we're the best of friends, but on the bike, it's a different thing.
No, it certainly is. A little bit of pride, I would think, though, for the Schleck brothers, because I think they do pride themselves as being exceptionally good individual climbers, and that's the part of the course that they will really be suited to. They will try and put in a good opening prologue, because they know that, well, they saw how the Tour de France was lost in the individual time trial. A little bit of a problem going around the corner there. George Hincapie, the big man from Greenville, South Carolina, originally from New York State.
A 16-time starter, a 16-time starter in the Tour de France. If he rides next year, and he says he will hold the outright record. The only man to have done 17. Now George is really popular. Yeah, they're already banging on the boards here, Paul, and it's such a bizarre scene. We're 6,300 feet up above sea level, and they're already cheering George on. Here we go. He's not a prologue rider. And he gets inspired by the people. He was placed and narrowly got beat in the Tour de France prologue once in Strasbourg. So he knows he can produce. He's on the same team as Cadel Evans. Now George is coming up 38 years of age. And as we now see riders preparing up now around the back of the scenes up there at the Garden of the Gods. And on cue, I don't know what the music is, but this is Tommy Danielson in his first Tour de France in July. He finished a magnificent 9th, and he comes from Boulder, which is also in Colorado. He's a hometown boy, and he wants to win this race. We'll see you shortly. The Flowbots, they'll be playing in Denver on the last stage of this race. Now let's have a look at the United Healthcare Prologue summary. Christian van der Velde set the early marker of 8:29, but the current leader remains now at Patrick Gretsch, 8 minutes and 27. He's on the HTC High Road squad. The big names still to go: Zabriskie, Leipheimer, Evans. We can add to that Ivan Basso and Lee Schleck. They're all ready to go, and they're all warming up on what is a typical hot day in Denver in the summer, in Colorado Springs, of course. That's where we are today. Just looking down now, it looks like we're still looking down there at Frank Schleck. As the riders continue now, as the riders are heading up towards the finish now, we've got riders arriving at the same time. Here it is, this is Velits coming up towards the line now. It's going to be a reasonable ride, but it's not going to be a race winning one today for him. The best time 8:27. Well gone here for Peter Velits as he climbs up from the depths of the interstate highway to cross the line outside 9 minutes. So 43rd place, and not quite what we expected there, Paul.
No, I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with that, Phil, because he's lost himself a good half a minute on his own teammate. But he was a rider who can pull back some time once we go into the big mountain passes, which we're going to face up to over the next few days. The next man to come to the finishing line will be Frank Schleck, and there he is.
Yes, and he's on his way up towards the finish here, and as you can see, 8:27. He's way off the pace. It's going to be a good half minute to cross the line. He's going to be around the time of Peter Velits, I would think. But we did say that Frank is 31 years of age, by the way. Now Frank, he turned pro 11 years ago, but he's only been a household name in the last few years because of the actions of his brother Andy and the way Frank has helped Andy in every way possible. So here he comes, big cheers from what is a developing crowd here today. We're going to top some huge figures for watching this event in its first inaugural year. And I'm not surprised, because I know what it's like in Colorado. These people love their sport. And this one is the top world of cycling with the best bike riders. There it is, he's in at 42nd. Almost identical there at the time with the other finish we just seen. Well, we'll take another break. Gretsch is still our man on top. Welcome back just in time. This is the arrival of George Hincapie here, and he's pushing that time. It's just passed by, in fact. He's aiming for the top 6. He hits the line, and he's across in 6th best time. 8:34 for George Hincapie, and he's 38 years of age last June. That is a fabulous ride. So the crowd cheering him all the way up. There's another little image of George Hincapie, the familiar tongue sticking out as he puts his biggest effort in. 6th best time of the riders who have finished at the moment. We've had 96 riders across the line so far. Now this man could be a little bit of a surprise as the week unrolls. Sergio Heinau, who was third rather, in the Tour of Utah. Well, this is the 21-year-old Paul, who next year will be racing on the Sky professional cycling team based out of the UK. He better start learning English. He doesn't speak any yet, but he was the big surprise. If there is one name on the start list that all of the big names from the Tour de France are afraid of this week, it is this man.
It's this man, Phil, and his whole team, because they're extremely good climbers. They really rattled, I think, the foundations of Levi Leipheimer in the recent Tour of Utah. This man, in fact, won the opening stage, and then he went to lead the race for a couple of days before finally Levi Leipheimer just managed to wrench it off his shoulders. But on the penultimate stage, he really went ballistic and nearly blew the race to pieces.
And he won the Prologue, let's not forget, in the Tour of Utah. Okay, the field is a bit deeper this time around, but he only turned professional this year, and he's 21 years of age. Let's quickly switch now to Lucas Jusa, the rider on the American rider, I might add, on the Canadian Spider Tech team. Also fighting back from a serious injury, knocked off his bike in Spain 2 years ago. Absolutely smashed his kneecap. It's been a total rebuild job. It's been a long, hard road back, and the Canadian Spider Tech squad have given Lucas his chance.
Well, you might just notice on his knee there as well, he's using one of his sponsors' products, which is that very special elasticated bandage to try and keep the tendons nice and tight. But for him, it's a ride to try and get up to the top end of the sport. Tim Duggan now is getting into the starting house for Team Liquigas, the team of Ivan Basso.
And like so many of the Americans, they live in that athletic town of Boulder, Colorado, but it's in Colorado, and that's all that matters for this race. He'll be given all the cheers of the day, Tim Duggan here. He rides for the Italian-based Liquigas Cannondale team, but it's partly sponsored by the American Bicycle Company. Now we'll see what Tim can do. Tim speaks Italian. He said it's lovely to be back home for the moment, talking his own language here and bringing his team with him to race in his own backyard.
Yeah, in fact, he was born in Boulder, Colorado, and it has become really the heart of professional cycling now. This is Henio coming up to the finishing line. In fact, he slipped back a little bit down towards the finish field. 61st time for him. Now that's a bit of a surprise.
It is a bit of a surprise, but it's not a disaster because he climbs so well, and that's where he'll start to deliver the blows. But it shows you the standard of the rides now being done by the likes of Gretsch, Buckwalter and Van der Velde. They turned out early today. May have been a tactical move when it wasn't perhaps quite so hot as it is now. Now this man's got a huge image. I think it's about 30 feet high on the local building down in the corporates here in town. He is the only man who's actually brought up here in Colorado Springs in the race. His grass is now settled down. He cut it yesterday before he came to the start a mile away. The crowd are all behind Danny Pate.
Now this man could create the surprise here this afternoon, because at the under-23 level of the sport field, he was the world time trial champion. And look at the way he's gone out of that starting gate. He looks like a man on a mission to me.
Well, if nobody knows the course here, or if everybody does know the course, it is Danny. He's trained on it plenty of times. He knows what the whole race has got in store for him over the next 6 days. But this is in particular. We could quickly cut across now to Tim Dugan out on course here, speeding down towards that horrible left-hander as we leave the Garden of the Gods and race down towards the left turn, bringing us into the township of Colorado Springs. There it is. They've all handled this corner extremely well. Might have been a different ball game if we'd have been hit by one of those thunderstorms, but looking around here from the commentary box in Colorado Avenue, it's looking good for the moment. Let's hope it stays that way. Another man who can ride a time trial, Rory Sutherland.
Yeah, good Australian rider. He's always ridden extremely well. Rode a very good Amgen Tour of California in the month of May, and this team is a team that wants to ride well here as well. Their team, United Healthcare, are actually one of the sponsors of the event as well, and that puts that little bit of added pressure onto the shoulders of Sutherland. 3
silver medals in the Australian Time Trial Championship. He's never won the gold. There's always been somebody to pip him. Michael Rogers or Nathan O'Neill were the guys, I think, at the time. But Rory Sutherland has been a top bike rider. He loves racing in the States. He rides for United Healthcare, and they are building their team all of the time, and they've in fact signed Hendrik Redant now to look after the team when he takes them into Europe. Hendrik, one of the most famous sports directors. Now listen to the crowd here as they announce Tommy D. Tommy Danielson.
Well, originally Phil, he was born in Connecticut. Not very many people know that. He's from East Lyman, Connecticut. He used to live in Durango, Colorado, but recently he's moved to Boulder, Colorado. It seems to be maybe one of the professional cyclists on the American teams all want to live in Boulder. It really is a sporting town.
It is a fabulous town for sportsmen, not just cyclists, triathletes as well, and athletes. It's a great little town full of very fit people. Anyway, Tommy D is underway. He went to the Tour de France for the first time this year. He came home with a 9th place. He was always in the thick of the action on the climbs, so just near the end, he couldn't quite hang on to Cadell Evans and the Slecks.
You see the start there, Phil, just a little bit tricky as they come out to the starting gate. You've got a number of sweeping left and right-hand bends before the climb. The descent then all of a sudden straightens up, and that's when you start to get to maximum speed on this time trial prologue this afternoon. Speeds approaching 80 kilometers an hour or 55 miles an hour. It's almost as difficult for the team cars to get down this first part of this descent as it is for the riders.
Now Tommy Danielson underway. That means there are 19 riders still to go. The last 10 will depart at 2-minute intervals. Tommy D has just come off the Tour of Utah with a fine 5th place, and so he's hoping now that he's getting back into the stride for the end of season, and he might even push it to the podium here. This will be Ben King now from Radio Shack on the start line now. Ben gets underway. He's from North Garden, Virginia, but where he also lives as he settles in for the Radio Shack team.
Tommy D is only 33. Like I said, that's in prime years now. And he showed it today. He jumped right up there.
Let's have a look then at the United Healthcare Prologue standings at the moment. They haven't changed for a long time now. Gretsch was the 40th man to go, still holds best time of 8:27. Van der Velde sits 2nd and Buckwalter 3rd.
We got
Welcome back as we catch up with the prologue here now in the inaugural USA Pro Cycling Challenge. We're looking at Tom Danielson here, who wants a good ride today, and he's capable of it, as we just point him out with our XG pointer for you. But we can see him at the moment as Tommy D, 9th in the Tour de France this year. A guide to his current form, he was 5th in the Tour of Utah. So there's our XG rider tracker there showing us Tommy D. We'll be picking him out in the peloton from tomorrow when we start all the mass start stages of the Tour. Smiling face here, the man in black, Oscar Sevilla here, another great rider when he was racing in the European scene, but he's back home in Colombia for a long time now. But he's got great faith in this team.
Rider in the Tour de France in 2001, still a baby face at 34 years old, now on the course from Gobernacion.
Well, getting out onto the start now, Oscar Sevilla. Be interesting to see what sort of a ride he can put in.
Sevilla's taking his start high up from the Garden of the Gods now as he starts to run away. I don't think he'll do a great particular ride here. I expect to see him in action, though. I think he is the captain of the Gobernacion Antigua team this time out. Continuing away now, this is back to Danny Pate here approaching the finishing line. This is going to be an interesting time. We don't have time checks out on the course, so we're with you when we see what comes up on the screen. You can usually tell by the riders, though, just how well they're going by their body messages. Remember Cadel Evans in the time trial in the Tour de France. It was clear he was going quicker than anyone else. This is Tim Duggan coming home for the Liquigas Cannondale boys, and it's a very good ride by Tim Duggan as well as he races up towards the line. It won't be a top 3. That's gone by a little while ago. If he can get inside 9 minutes, it'll be a very good performance. He might just squeeze in, will he, Paul? No, he won't. It's just outside.
Just gone outside, but you can see by the look on his face, though, how hard he's tried over this 8.5 kilometre prologue. Shaking his head there. Everybody, I think, suffering a little bit with the heat of the latter part of the afternoon. 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And be interesting also to see what sort of ride Tommy Danielson can do, because Philly has in the past put in some good performances in this kind of event.
Well, he's got to be in just 2 minutes and a couple of seconds now if he's going to match up with the leader's time of 8:27. And he's doing a pretty good ride. He's running down the flatter roads of Colorado Springs now. Well, let's get back to Danny Pate. You can hear the announcers shout an 8th place for Danny, 8:38. Well, he's broken into the top 10. Think he might have a light better, but remember he's on the same team as the leader, Patrick Gretsch, HTC High Road, so they're packing him in there from HTC.
Well, that time has stood for an awful long time, the time of Patrick Gretsch, 8 minutes and 27 seconds, and one has to wonder who is going to knock him off the top spot, or will anybody do that at all, as we now watch the Spanish rider Oscar Sevilla taking the very technical part of this course over the first 2 kilometers.
So Sevilla then, the Colombian, but actually Oscar is Spanish, but he rides on the Colombian Gobernacion de Antioquia team. He's had 2 wins this year, but he did finish 4th in the recent Tour of Utah, and that is he's wanting to better now with a podium finish here in the inaugural USA Pro Cycling Challenge. As we get down to the bottom bend here now, braking hard, taking through the apex. They really don't take these corners right. My brother-in-law used to race motorbikes, Paul, and he watches these cyclists go down hills, and he thinks they've got no idea how to ride down hills on a bicycle.
Well, some guys do, and it really is a question of being able to use the whole of the field, the whole of the corner if you can. You've got to use the whole of the race to get around the apex of the corner at high speed.
Now, excitement brews as we look underneath the bridge there. We should see pop out of it here. Tommy Danielson, there he is down below. Now, is this going to be the time that might get him up amongst at least best of the favourites to get a very good time? As Tommy Danielson races up, remember he got 3rd in the Amgen Tour of California this year. That more or less confirmed his ride in the Tour de France, which is what he wanted. And then he certainly lived up to his selection there, because he got himself 9th place in the Tour. The crowd are going to bring him home, I think, and it's a very good time. Is he going to be the best? We're looking for 8:27. As they bring him up, it passes by. This is where the road kicks and the seconds go quickly, but it's still a quick time by Tommy D. He's one of the overall favourites of the race, and he's not lost much here. As he races up, he's well inside the 9-minute target. As he comes up towards the line, he's 15th place at 8:44. He will be more interested, though, in who is finishing with the best times behind him, not those who finish with the better times in front.
Well, Tommy Danielson, watch out for him to climb well in the latter part of this week. Hails from Boulder, Colorado now, but spent an early part of his youth in Durango, not too far away from here. Oscar Sevilla getting round that corner nice and safely onto the flatter now part of this course.
Gobernación Antucoya. Now, Gobernación is actually Spanish for government, and Antucoya is the state. They're actually sponsored by the state government of Antucoya, and so they want to deliver some results for them. They've done it so far. They've had a very successful Tour of Utah. They've shown us they can ride at altitude. As Andy Schleck here, meanwhile, around the back corner, still signing autographs. So he's doing what brother Frank did. They do everything the same as each other, don't they?
They certainly do. One thing that he's done that his brother hasn't done is he's finished second in the Tour de France on 3 separate occasions.
Indeed.
Ben King just coming up to the line there. His average speed was 30 miles an hour.
And it's 13th place for Ben. 8:40. Yeah, very good ride. We just caught him coming in there, Ben King. That's a very, very good ride indeed for the Radio Shack boy. 8:43. Still nobody's disturbing the top 3. It is still Patrick Gretsch, Brent Bookwalter of the BMC team, and Van der Velde of Garmintsville. They're the top 3 riders.
Yep, Oscar Sevilla now looking at about 2.5 kilometers to go to the finish. That's just outside of 1.5 miles. He's been a very good time trialist in the past as well, and obviously he'll be very happy with a recent 4th place overall in the Tour of Utah. But most of the time there he was working and helping his own teammate to try and win that event, and that of course is Sergio Hanayo, and I'm going to be very interested to see how he races a little bit later on in this week.
Long empty roads of the wide boulevards here in the center of Colorado Springs. As we get underway, still 3 kilometers to go. You probably glimpse that's about 1.6 miles still to ride for Oscar Sevilla. He's had 32 wins as a pro. He's getting on a bit now. Only in cycling terms, by the way. He's 35. He'll be 35 years of age next month.
No, he's looking pretty good on that machine as well. He's got his back is nice and flat. He's got his arms right in the middle of the handlebars. That allows you to cut into the wind. That's that little bit better. Many of these top riders, they spend a lot of time and money in the winter months trying to find what is the most aerodynamic position. The difficult thing about it is once you get yourself aerodynamic, you've also got to be able to be in the position to sit on the bike and generate lots of power. So it's a combination of improving your aerodynamics, but also keeping the power there as well.
He has had some tremendous victories, most of them way down in the southern hemisphere. He won the Tour of Mexico last year. He also won the Clásico de Anipoma, and he was also won his home tour of Antigua. Meanwhile, round the back here in the Garden of the Gods, quietly plying his trade, is David Zabriskie. He, I have to say, is another man coming back from injury. You remember the crash, I think it was on stage 7 in the Tour de France, the one that took out Bradley Wiggins. Dave Zabriskie broke his collarbone there. He's working his way back. He has rather a nasty contusion still on his left knee. It just isn't going down, but he doesn't feel too much trouble from it.
Well, don't forget, though, he is an ideal specialist in the individual time trial. He's one of the best time trialists in the United States. Andre Miguel Diaz just coming across the line. He rides for XG. He's a Colombian rider on that squad. He's had a rather nasty time there. 9 minutes and 12 seconds for 70th place.
70th place for him now. We're getting down to the last 10 riders to start. They go at 2-minute intervals. They'll be led away, and I think we might have just missed his start of Ben Jacques Maines. He's gone, the Californian rider, who also has his brother, but his brother's not riding here this week, and he should be underway. So then the next to go will be Scott Zwizanski, and then we'll start to move into the big names of the time trial and the big names for likely overall. We've also got the silver medalist in the Olympic Games time trial about to start. We'll see him as well shortly. Gustav Larsen.
Well, there's Pat McCarthy coming in the Amgen Tour of California. He was the winner of the King of the Mountains classification. He rides for the Canadian squad, Spider Tech. He was born in Dallas, Texas, but now hails from that very famous part of Texas, Austin.
Yes, home of Lance Armstrong, now retired, but his team is still here, Radio Shack, and they went 1-2 in the Tour of Utah. And then Janusz Zabrakiewicz, he transferred across to the Vuelta España, the Tour of Spain. He's gone there, and Levi Leipheimer, who won the event for the second year, he's decided to come here and will be the second man to go. Here's the arrival of Oscar Sevilla, 8:36 in sight of the finishing line. It's not too shoddy at all, this, but it won't, I think it'll just be inside 9 9 minutes for Oscar. That's a good ride.
Yep.
He's realised it too, I think. Look at this.
Yeah, all of a sudden he realised he had to find that little bit of extra energy to kick himself up that nasty little false flat up to the finishing line. He's just going to, well, I'm not sure if he is. Yes, he just gets himself inside that 9-minute mark.
Only by 37/100ths of a second, though, but that's okay. 8:59, 35th place for Oscar Sevilla. And the organisers there, is this significant for the whole week? Finish this time trial right on the brow of the hill. You don't even run over the top. So he's going off now for a shower and get ready for the race when it gets underway on the open highway to Crested Butte tomorrow. So as he moves off now, we're looking down the list. This is Levi Leipheimer. He will go at 15:32 local time today, which is 5:32 there. And we are looking at Cadell Evans. He's wandering around at the back. He's done his warm-up, has he? Oh, he's going to do a bit more by the look of it. He's the last rider to go. So all the big stars are getting ready. Will they beat this man, though? And I'm not so sure they will. That was a great ride by Patrick Gretsch, who was the 41st man to start and still leads. Back to the Quiznos Prologue time trial of the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. Gets underway with stage 1 on the road tomorrow to Crested Butte. But this is the hors d'oeuvre, if you like. We're racing for the first leader's jersey. And at the moment, Patrick Gretsch is living on a knife edge. He's led from the 41st rider out. We are now down to the last 8 of the 130. Van der Velde in second and Brent Buckwalter is in third. Out on course, this is Ben-Jacques Maines here, who is riding. He's a Californian resident. And trying to deliver a good time. An ever aggressive rider. Expect to see him in the breakaways when they form on the open highway from tomorrow here. He's just started. In fact, he's about 7 minutes down the road, Ben-Jacques Maines. He's being chased at 4 minutes further back by Gustav Larsen, who is the Olympic silver medalist. Now, one rider who will be shortly in the start house, in fact, there he is right now, Ivan Basso, two-time winner of the Giro d'Italia, and has said he wants to perform well in this inaugural race. So he is our Cannondale athlete profile. There it is. He's 33 years of age now, Ivan Basso, but nonetheless, he's a very popular boy. He speaks good English. He stands at 6 feet, 150 pounds, which means he's light enough to climb pretty well. His 2 times victory in the Giro d'Italia. He used to go head-to-head, remember, in the mid-2000s with Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France. He gets underway to a great cheer from the crowd here, great sporting crowd here at the Garden of the Gods Park. As Basso knows, every second really counts in these prologue time trials when you're aiming to win the race down in Denver next Sunday. He's going to give it his best shot.
Well, he went out to the starting house, Phil, I think faster than anybody else. He's an experienced professional bike rider, Ivan Basso, a 2-time winner, as we mentioned, of the Giro d'Italia. He will take advantage of those first few corners there to try and get himself up to high speed as quickly as possible. Quite a tough start for the riders. Not only is it technical, but it climbs up after the starting gate, and then they go down at speeds approaching 80 kilometers an hour.
He was, and I put this in quotations, only 8th in the Tour de France because he expected more for himself. He said he was a little bit disappointed with his performance at the Tour, but in fairness, he did have a very bad crash while training in France for the Tour before the Tour got underway. So he had a very good excuse. He hopes his form has now come back fully. The arrival of Ben-Jacques Maines here as he comes up towards the finish. Gone outside 9 minutes, the Bristol rider. 50th place for him.
Well, I don't think he'll be too happy about that, Phil, because he is a pretty good individual time trialist on his own day, so 50th place at 9:04.
Unusual sunglasses he's wearing there. New trend, new style for Ben-Jacques Maines as he comes in. Now let's go back to the start house. TJ Van Garderen, who became the first American to actually wear the King of the Mountains jersey in the Tour de France. Others have won it, but never actually pulled it on. TJ Van Garderen wore that on the Tour. Now he comes from Tacoma. And long term, we expect him to be still being well talked about as we get down to the finish in Denver. I think secretly he wants to do a good ride. It's his teammate, by the way, Gretsch, who is leading this race at the moment.
Well, this man is a very good individual time trialist. During the international cycling season, he actually lives in Lucca in Italy. And he's going down the starting route right now, and he'll be looking, I think, Phil, to try and challenge the time of his own teammate.
So TJ will get plenty of support here in the mountains of Colorado as he gets underway. He won the time trial in the Tour of Utah, and that was his very first win as a professional, and he did it on his birthday. So the 23-year-old is now out to improve even on that.
Just having a quick look down halfway down the slope, you can see a very high cadence there from Ivan Basso, who's looking like he's taking this time trial very, very seriously. Just look at him now. He's no, but he's lining himself up for those corners.
This is Wyzanski just coming up to the finishing line here now, and it's a very, very good ride. Look at this, could be well inside top 20 here. The crowd are roaring him home. They've looked at the clock as well, and he's inside. 18th place for him. That's a very good ride.
Not a bad ride either for a man who was born in Westchester, Pennsylvania, and he could be a little bit of a threat a little bit further down the road here in the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. You can just see how hard this violent effort is that these riders have to put in.
Yes, the United Healthcare team there really developing their team. Let's go back to now and see the man who has 3 times finished second in the Tour de France. This is now Andy Schleck. He will chase by 2 minutes TJ Van Garderen. Listen to the crowd. They love this man.
No, certainly he is extremely popular. Both of these riders are very popular here in the United States, and they put their hand up straight away as soon as the tour of the USA Pro Cycling Challenge was announced. These 2 guys said, yes, we want to go over there because we want to see what it's like racing at that incredible altitude, 3,600 meters on a number of occasions.
A little story coming from the presentations the other night. There was a young lady called Molly wandering around with a badge on her saying, I am the future Mrs. Andy Schleck. And we tried to get them together, but Andy's playing was late. He never turned up. What a shame.
No, it certainly was. Let's see how he can ride this individual time trial, because this is his Achilles heel. I think I was a little bit upset, not upset, but I was a bit so surprised by the bad performance he put in the time trial, the final time trial of the Tour de France. I thought he would have rivaled Cadel Evans just a little bit more, but I think after the incredible racing we had in the Alps, I don't think he had the legs left.
No, you're absolutely right. I think he locked up a little bit with the nerves and the tension. It was all the pressure of the day. It was win and lose everything on that one time trial. Robert Hessing. Now this has got to be a good time by Robert. Not necessarily a winning time, but a time where he rivals the men who want to win the Tour in a week's time. So he needs a good time because he doesn't know what Leipheimer, Evans or Zabriskie is going to do behind him. He's coming in 17th best time, 8:45 for Hessing.
Not a bad ride for Robert Hessing, who was a winner in the early part of the year of a time trial in the Tour of Oman, where in fact on that occasion he beat Fabian Cancellara.
Here's Ivan Basso. He'll also want to be pretty close to Hessing's time if he can't better it. He's got about 2 minutes still to run here as well. 2.5 as Basso puts his head down every time he checks his cadence there. He looks very good. Now on the coolest man in the world of cycling is Dave Z, as we call him, Dave Zabriskie. Comes from Salt Lake City in Utah, resident of California from LA, but Dave Zabriskie is the time trial champion of the USA. Now normally I'd say we're looking at the winner of the day, Paul, but we don't know. He's coming back from that injury in the Tour de France.
Well, he is a great individual time trialist, almost impossible to beat him within home shores, but yes, he is coming back from a very nasty injury. He's still got a little bit of a bump on his left-hand knee there that he showed us just the other day, and it's taken quite a while to get over that crash he had in the Tour de France, but he is a specialist and he knows exactly how to dose his effort, especially over a course like this. And the last part of the course, the flat part of the course in Colorado Avenue, suits him down to perfection.
He's had 3 wins this year. They've all been time trials. He won the stage 4 time trial in the Tour of Romandy in Switzerland. He won the stage 6 time trial in the Amgen Tour of California. He topped off with the National Time Trial Championship in June.
Yeah, Ivan Basso out on course as well, still now looking extremely powerful. He's come here as if he can to try and win this. A little bit of extra pressure on his shoulders because his sponsor Cannondale is from the United States. TJ Van Garderen now, he also, Phil, would like to create the surprise this afternoon.
The Washington State rider, where he has lots of support. This is Gustav Larsson coming over. It's a good ride, but look, 8:27's already gone by for Gustav Larsson, highlighting Patrick Gretsch has done the ride of his life today. A big sprint from Gustav Larsen isn't going to give him a podium, though. 20th place for the silver medalist in Beijing.
Well, he really suffered for that one. He will be defending that silver medal next year on the roads of London when he goes to the Olympic Games for Sweden. Number 41, TJ Van Garderen, looking very good on his machine. You can see how the top part of his body, his shoulders are not moving at all. That's an indication he's still got plenty of power in the engine room.
We have seen Van Garderen ride well in his opening time trials in Europe. Now, can he reproduce right here? He was the best young rider in the Amgen Tour of California. He did win the time trial in the Tour of Utah. Now, this is the popular man. He comes from Santa Rosa these days in California. Levi Leipheimer.
Santa Rosa, California. Levi Leipheimer.
But as everybody in Montana will tell us, he's ours. We like him, and he likes being up in Butte as well. Okay, so Levi Leipheimer, Paul, if he can deliver today. He won the Tour of Utah for the second year, and he had a real fight on his hands to do that from the Colombian cyclists who are right here in this race. He knows he needs a good start to his tour today.
Well, he's had probably much better preparation for this individual time trial than anybody else, especially most of the Europeans, and he straight out of the house.
He wanted to leave that house before the clock hit 0. He was raring to go, quickly settling in straight into this praying mantis style of his as he races off downhill towards that sharp left-hand bend.
Well, he really wants this. He knows how important it is to get a little bit of a psychological blow against your rivals on the first day, especially in a short time trial like this. He's got a very deep-edged front wheel there. You can see the carbon fiber rim is extremely large. That helps the front end of the machine keep itself nice and aerodynamic. He, I would have to say, is handling these corners well. Phil, you see how he flicks from the left-hand side of the road to the right-hand side of the road, not losing any momentum at all.
Well, he's been the king of the time trial in the Amgen Tour of California over the years. He does make full use of the road. He is a great time trial exponent. Now we'll see what he can do here. The crowd cheered him away as he starts to plunge down towards Colorado Springs. Arriving in Colorado Springs is Ivan Basso. But look at the time, Paul. He's gone outside 9 minutes already.
I think many of these riders, Phil, they are finding that the altitude is going to be something they're going to have to battle with over this week of racing in Colorado, as Ivan Basso slips a long way down the overall standings board this afternoon, because he's going to have a hard time slipping inside of the top 100.
Well, he is going to have a problem. 92nd. He just got inside there, but he won't be at all happy with that. It's the hot and humid conditions in this late afternoon now as we start to get threats of thunderstorms coming off the mountains again. We should get the race finished, though, because this is the last man in the start out. The first Australian to win the Tour de France. He was fated by his government and by his people back home in Melbourne, and then he jumped back in the aeroplane and he flew here to try and acclimatise before the start of this race. Cadel Evans has come here to do his best, but he does not know how he can handle the altitude. Just listen to this crowd. They were treated to the best Tour de France in years. So Cadel is underway now. He was the World Road Race champion, and when he lost that title, he pulled off the Tour de France champion. He's done it all. He was a great mountain biker. His career started right here in Colorado, where he got a silver medal in the World Mountain Bike Championships.
Well, it's an amazing team, this BMC. It's been built up to next year what's going to be an incredible dream team on the international circuit. The man who finished second briefly there, we just noticed Andy Schlepp. Van Garderen there, Phil, has come in with the 7th best time.
Well, that's a great ride by TJ. No, it hasn't hit his teammate's time of 8:27, but he won't be looking at his teammate when the mountains come big time. That's a very good time. He could be best of the favourites with that ride.
No, he certainly could, and I think he'll be fairly happy with that. It's his own teammate still. That was an impressive ride by Patrick Gretsch, and he's led that since very early on in the afternoon. One of the early starters alongside Christian van der Velde. Cadel Evans always rises to the occasion. This is a team that started off as a small team in the United States, and now it's built up to become a big, huge, massive team on the international circuit.
The king of American cycling, Levi Leipheimer here, trying to put his name at the top of the leaderboard of another major stage race in the States. A race which is coming on today for the very first time and is already being talked about as one of the biggest races in the world, and with very, very good reason. As we look now at Cadel Evans taking this corner here, kicking out of it, accelerating. This man will no doubt be thinking to himself, reminding himself, he's the Tour de France champion. Tour de France champions don't lose.
Well, a man who knows how to handle a bike extremely well is also because Phil, he started off his career as an extremely good cross-country mountain bike racer, so he knows how to use these corners to his advantage, and he knows the pressure that's on his shoulder. An American team, the Australian rider who's just won the Tour de France, he's racing here in Colorado. He's no stranger to Colorado because he won a medal in the World Championships way back when he was a junior.
As we continue down here now, we say goodbye to the Garden of the Gods Park and race down towards Colorado Springs with the last man. He wears #1, Cadel Evans. How will his time stand up against Patrick Grech at the finish, who must be wondering, is this the great opening? He can't believe it. He was the 41st rider to take the start today, and here we are, we're looking at the 130th, and it's still Grech on top.
Round that corner, nice and safely, Cadel Evans. You see how he backed himself off a fraction, moved over to the right-hand side of the road before cutting right through the apex as we go back now to Andy Schleck.
Now, how's Andy done? 8:39. He's not on the podium, but how's he going to feature against TJ Van Garden's time here? He's not going to beat TJ at the moment as Andy comes up to the line, but it's not a bad ride. At least he's going to be inside 9 minutes as he kicks for that finishing line. Andy Schleck will be quite pleased with this, I think, considering that he's had to train here altitude, try and get used to it. Just going outside of 9 minutes and his 54th place. It shows you how hard it is today and how good that podium is standing at the moment.
It certainly is. He's lost himself for 30 seconds. There are only now 3 riders left to come. The next man to come into the finishing straight will be the champion of the time trial, Dave Zabriskie.
Now, a little bit down the road here at the moment, Davey Z. He won the yellow jersey in the Tour de France in a time trial. Now, can he do the same here today? That's the 1 kilometre to go. The Maxis Bridge here as he now lines up for the finish. Just look at the people here enjoying this race here in Colorado Springs. Welcome back to International World Cycling. It's almost 25 years since we did it before with the Coors Classic.
It's going to be touch and go for Zabriskie because he went under the 1 kilometre to go sign in 7 minutes and 33 seconds. As you can see here, Cadel Evans really flipping across the side of the road there to get himself high speed into that corner.
I was laughing, Paul, the camera guys on the road trying to just get him in the lens. He's going by so quickly off that bottom corner as Cadel Evans now the long empty road as the last man, the sweeper in the opening stage here at the prologue of the US Pro Cycling Challenge. Back to Levi Leipheimer. We haven't forgotten him. Levi's quietly getting on with his job. We've seen this style many, many times before. Now let's see what Dave Z's got to do.
Well, he's looking at a very good time here, Dave Zabriskie, a man on his way back to the top of the sport after a nasty accident during the Tour de France. He's not going to get the best time here this afternoon, but watch how he gets better and better as this race progresses.
Well, he should be pleased with this one, considering he's still finding his way back. He knows he hasn't quite got the legs yet, repairing that broken collarbone after his crash and early exit from the Tour de France. But you can't take away talent, and 14th place for Dave Zabriskie, 8:42 for him.
Well, I think that's an indicator the form is starting to come back, and he's one of those riders who, after injury, will get stronger and stronger as this race progresses. There are only 2 men left out on course who can beat the time now of Patrick Grech. 8 minutes and 27 seconds. It stood for a very long time.
It most certainly has, and Grech at worst now will be 3rd, and I can't think both of these riders are going to beat him, but you never know. They are top time trialists, some of the top time trialists in the world, not just here in Colorado Springs. Levi Leipheimer, he looks very, very good. He hasn't altered his style the whole way. He goes at 1 kilometre to go. This is the long rise. It really is a tough finish. You go under the freeway and he kicks up the boulevard to the finishing line.
This is going to go very, very close for Levi Leipheimer. He went under the kilometre banner there, Phil, at 7 minutes and 24 seconds. And at speeds like this, it takes approximately 1 minute, 60 seconds to cover the final kilometre. So it'll be touch and go for Levi Leipheimer. He may well just get inside by a second.
Well, 1 minute. Remember, the climb up to the line has destroyed the hopes today of quite a few, but they have had the chance to train on this. Leipheimer's riding on. Remember, we're looking for 8 minutes, 27.46 seconds. That's the time of Grech. He's just away from our podium here, our commentary box, watching with intenseness down the home straight here. Leipheimer now lines himself up for the finish. This is all effort now. It's all or nothing for Levi. 8:27. It's going to be very, very close. There is the finish. I think he's done it. Levi Leipheimer closes in towards the line. Is the winner of the Tour of Utah going to be in yellow tomorrow? There's only one man to take. No, it isn't. He slips to 2nd, he slips to 3rd, and he slips off the podium. Levi Leipheimer is only 7th. Isn't that amazing?
It is, Phil. I tell you, it's that final little kick up to the line, as you said, has destroyed the hopes of some of the best individual time trialists in the world. It looked as if he'd got it, but it's that climb up to the finish line that's destroyed some brave men.
Absolutely amazing. Leipheimer can't believe it. He's asking for a towel, I think, now as he comes in. Well, that was a huge effort here. His little climb looks absolutely nothing on television. It is actually quite hard as they come up. It's the only climb of the time trial, and it hurts the legs, as you know, Paul, when you come downhill at speed and then suddenly you have to race uphill.
Well, especially having used a massive big gear as well. Only one man now left out on course at number 1 on his back, Cadel Evans, Tour de France champion from 2011.
I better not predict this one after what I did to Levi Leipheimer, but Cadel has got himself just 2 minutes to get in right now and become a perfect opening for the Tour de France champion. There's the long road up to the finish here. Cadel looks good.
He went through that kilometre to go, Banner Phil, on exactly the same time as Levi Leipheimer. He's again got 60 seconds to get himself to the finish line.
Most important thing, remember, in time trials, it is staying close to the other favourites for the next week, and that is happening here with Evans and Leipheimer, TJ Van Garderen, Robert Gesing. They're doing all right, even though they may not be winning the stage today. This is the finish now. That's the rise up towards the finish. We're heading up to 8 minutes. He's got just 27 seconds to get there, and I have to say it, I don't think he can reach that banner in 25 seconds.
Well, he's going here through a wall of noise. The crowds have turned out in Colorado Springs to see the Tour de France champion, Cadel Evans. He can see that finishing line, but it is oh so far away with still that little kick up to the line.
It's a long, long way to the line here. He's got 6 seconds to do it. The Tour de France champion, Cadel Evans, will not be far away, but he won't be on the top of the podium. Patrick Gretsch has won this with his ride as Evans has gone off the podium as well. That podium all came out early today. Cadel Evans comes home in 9th place. He'd be happy enough. The men he wants to beat in the next week are all around him.
No, they certainly are. Good ride by Cadel Evans when you bear in mind that he's flown around the world. He didn't take the direct route from Europe. He flew from Europe down to Australia to be fated for his victory in the Tour de France, the first Australian ever to do that. He's asked to just to warm down a fraction now, but he knows what lies ahead. There's some great racing roads here in Colorado lining up for the next week of racing.
Well, he will warm down now and be whisked away. It's a long way, the stage tomorrow. As these riders know now, the mountains are upon them. Today they went down them. For the rest of the week, they go up them and they climb into the thin airs. Patrick Gretsch is the winner. It's only the 2nd win of his career. He's a 2nd-year pro. He's 24 years of age. He won a race in Holland in June, and now he's opened up the new USA Pro Cycling Challenge with victory and a leader's yellow jersey tomorrow.
I bet that team were expecting to see that jersey go onto the shoulders of TJ Van Garderen. He'll have to come out and fight his way up to the top of the leaderboard in the mountain passes tomorrow. But you just catch there, Cadel Evans warming down after a very testing 8.5 kilometre individual prologue, and it'll be interesting to hear the stories around the dinner tables tonight of how they handle the altitude.
Yes, Cadel Evans here, receiving always the plaudits here. The people of Colorado have always said, where is Cadel? We want to see Cadel. They were treated to one of the most exciting Tour de France's in its history, I think, this year. And Evans was the winner. Well, as he takes a drink, we'll gaze around the big crowd here now in Colorado Springs. We'll wait for the results. So let's just see if these are the United Healthcare final results today. Patrick Gretsch gets only his 2nd win of his career, 8:27 for HTC High Road out of San Francisco, California. Christian Van der Velde, another American, is 2nd. Brent Bookwalter is 3rd. 2 Americans in the top 3. Robert Forster, former stage winner of the Tour de France for United Healthcare. Good result for them with 4th for Robert, and Jens Voigt in 5th. George Hincapie collected 6th place for BMC, Cadel Evans' team. Leipheimer, Van Garderen, Evans, 3 men locked together, 7, 8, 9. That could be the podium, you know, when we get to the finish in Denver. Wouldn't that be interesting? Remembering 7, 8 and 9 right now. Ryan Rott of Team Spidertech of Canada completing the top 10. So that's the United Healthcare results. of the moment. And as I say, for the big favourites, they just don't want to lose too much time. A few seconds here or there I don't think it's going to make any difference by the time we get back to Denver. But if you've lost a minute today, I think you've also lost the Tour. And quite a few riders down the back have lost the best part of a minute and a half and more. There is the crowd down there in Colorado Avenue, as we'll take a usual short break. We'll sort out the results. We'll stay on live for the presentations, and we'll see Patrick Gretsch get the first leaders at yellow jersey. Well done, Patrick, and HTC High Road. No doubt this is a most beautiful state. This is the Colorado.com images here today from our helicopter as we span the Rockies and the town of Colorado Springs, which has just seen the finish of the Quiznos opening prologue time trial in the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. We're underway now, and we have a German in the lead. So let's have a look now as we look at the long straight. This is our Road ID ride of the day, and it certainly was a ride of the day. Out at the start house in 41st position today, Patrick Gretsch, riding for the Californian-based HTC High Road. As this team says farewell to the sport this year, they still cannot stop winning. And he pushed on well. He recorded an incredibly good time indeed here. So well done. So let's look at our road idea of the day, and that is Patrick Gretsch. To vote on who you think should be today's Ride of the Day recipient and win a shopping spree, head over to roadid.com/ride. We'll announce the fan pick at the top of tomorrow's show. There's the result for you. Patrick Gretsch was our bid. You might like to bid for Dave Zabriskie, who's on the comeback trail. Who knows? We'll tell you tomorrow. Christian van der Velde in second. He was out early as well. He was the 11th off. Now, I am hearing, as we just look at these final results, to show you a couple more, but I think Bob Roll is ready to take us now. Yes, we can go to Bob Roll. I think he is now with Patrick Gretsch. Let's go to Bob.
Patrick, congratulations. Before the start of today's stage, you would not have been one of the favorite riders. How did you overcome such big names in today's stage?
Yeah, I think in my opinion I was also one of the favorites. I knew I had a good shape, or I'm in really good shape. I was third in Tour of Utah in the TT, and yeah, I put all my focus on the TT today, or on the Prologue, and I'm really happy that I got a win.
You maybe had a few extra days to acclimatize to the altitude before this race after the Tour of Utah here in the high mountains.
Yeah, for sure, but I think that's the problem of everybody. We had really problems with the altitude, and yeah, but I got still a win, and I'm really happy.
Well, maybe looking forward to the rest of the racing, high mountains to come. Team HTC is perhaps looking at your teammate TJ Van Garderen to work for. Will that be a little bit of a strange situation tomorrow when I have the leader's jersey and working for somebody else on the stage?
I don't know. I think I have no problem for him with that. I know TJ is a much better climber than me, and like I said, I put all my focus on today. I'm really happy that I got a win, and then we look forward. We have a strong team, and I think if I support TJ good, then we can also do really well in the GC.
Congratulations and good luck this week.
Thank you.
Well done, Patrick. Well, let's have a look at the United Healthcare overall standings, and wearing the Quiznos yellow jersey tomorrow will be Patrick Gretsch. Even if he's not going to defend it, Christian van der Velde will go in a second down, probably 2 seconds. They round it all up. Brent Buchholz will go in 4 seconds behind. Forster will go in at 5. Jens Voigt will go in at 7 seconds back. In 5th place for Leopard Trek. Good ride by Jens, wasn't it? 40 years of age next month. George Hincapie was in there. Levi Leipheimer. These are the names locked together. Leipheimer, Van Garderen, Cadel Evans. They've ridden virtually the same time today, so the Prologue hasn't done much to alter their position overall in their shooting for gold down in Denver. Rory Sutherland, he would have liked to have finished better than 14 seconds back in 15th place. I think Dave Zabriskie did the best of his ride in view of his physical condition just now. Tommy Danielson, 17 seconds down, but only about 10 off the many he'll look at as his main rivals. Just look at the crowd here now as they walk up for the presentations of the race leaders' jerseys. This is the rides which we couldn't show you because they did them very early on before they all came on screen, and the 11th man to start was Christian van der Velde. He flew round the course. Now, we think this was a tactic in case the thunderstorms had arrived early and wiped out the big men at the finish, then van der Velde might have produced the winning ride. When he got through to the finish, Christian van der Velde from Illinois, 8 minutes and 29 seconds for him, and it was the best time at the finishing line. The crowd cheered home an American onto the top of the leaderboard. Wasn't to be, though. Brent Bookwalter came close. He rides for BMC, and Brent made his run. He is another great time trial rider. As Brent launched himself out of the start house, it was beginning to look rather good for the riders from the United States in their inaugural tour. Up the home straight he came, cheered all the way. Very, very hot conditions, by the way, but he was 2 seconds slower than Van der Velde. Then the 41st rider to start of the 130 riders in the tour was Patrick Gretsch. Now, he may have sounded a little bit conceited in his interview, but no, this man has the credentials. Second in the world under 23 time trial in 2008, third in 2009, and he's delivered the ride that matters. There's the picture we were showing you earlier of Danny Pate on the building here, downtown Colorado Springs. It's absolutely massive, looking right down onto the finishing line. Well, this is the first day of the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. I think it's the first day of many years to come, because this has already gripped the imagination, not just of the Coloradians, but of everybody around the world. And the big bike riders have turned up to give it their best shot. We've seen a little bit of the hills today, the red rocks of the alluvial layers of the Rockies. Well, wait till we start our journey through the Rockies from tomorrow. We are going to see some of the most stunning scenery in the most stunning state. Well, I think, Paul, it's about time we got down to that podium now and see the leaders' jerseys pulled on. There's no doubt who's going to get the yellow. At this early stage, of course, he'll probably collect, Patrick Gretsch, most of the leaders' jerseys, because that's the way it is, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is, and at 24 years of age, he should be the best young rider as well. There he goes. The first time we've got to see him, he started so early on that we really didn't have much chance to see what his ride looked like.
And the governor of the state of Colorado here is presenting him with the Quiznos race leader's yellow jersey. He knows how to put them on. He wore the jersey of leader for 3 days in the recent Stir Electric Tour in Holland. That was back in June. He did it by winning the first day time trial. He survived 3 days before they got it off him. He said already he doesn't think he'll even try to defend it tomorrow. He's working for TJ Van Gardner, so he might lose it tomorrow.
Well, with a slightly difficult mountaintop finish, he could lose himself just a few seconds, and he's got a lot of riders breathing down his neck after that short, violent 8.5-kilometer individual time trial test.
The governor there giving him a warm congratulations, because he's a bike rider himself, and that's only part of the enthusiasm shared here from the state government right through to the mayor of Colorado Springs, as we found out. Now, it looks pretty good with the lipstick on his cheek.
Yellow Quiznos race leaders jersey for HTC.
So he stepped off, and now we'll just see. I think we can go and have a look at the Radio Shack route for tomorrow. Now, this is when it all happens. Tomorrow we start on the open highways again. This is a difficult stage. It's not the most difficult, but it's a good starter, believe me, here. All of the racing, of course, throughout the state of Colorado for the whole 6 days. We go from Salida up to Mount Crested Butte. We finish at 9,409 feet. Bike races don't go that high, do they? Yes, they do, I'm afraid, and they'll go even higher before this week is out. Here we go over the Monarch Pass. We top 11,000 feet over the Monarch Pass. Then we have a pretty much a valley ride on through Parlin, through Gunnison, where we go to start the next day of racing, but we carry on now as we head to Mount Crested Butte here, and then up to the top to finish the day. There's the profile for you. As I say, we top 11,000 feet. We finished at 8,900 feet. Now, the prologue, by the way, we've just seen, if you've missed it, in its entirety, re-airs tomorrow night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow is the rematch in the Rockies. That comes on half an hour. It's a very interesting program at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then that'll be followed by Stage 1 itself, live here on Versus Salida to Crested Butte. That is the big one tomorrow for certainly one young German cyclist by the name of Patrick Gretsch. So, as they said, prepare to say farewell. We were unable to show you all the presentations because there was only the one, really, the Maillot Jaune. As these riders continue on the way, don't forget to log in to NBCSports.com, and we'll keep you up to date with all our schedules and information on the event. That man needs some help, I think, as we continue. The US Cyclo Pro Challenge goes on, and our thanks to Pearl Zumi, who has provided us with our clothing as well. And for the tour tracker, remember to go to USAProCyclingChallenge.com. And congratulations to our winner, Patrick Gretsch. So, as we say goodbye tonight here at Versus, and Paul Sherring, Bob Roll, all of the team here, we'll see you all tomorrow, bright and early. I'm Phil Liggett. Goodbye.